Hello, my name is Ashok Rajagopalan. I'm going to give a quick product overview of the Datera Elastic Data Fabric and, and its points of integration with the Accelerite Cloud Platform. Datera Elastic Data Fabric is an elastic block storage system built for on-premise clouds. Looking at the data center trends, software-defined infrastructure, automation, and cloud infrastructure is becoming very vital as modern data centers evolve to the next generation infrastructure. Software-defined infrastructure is becoming very mainstream primarily because customers want to take advantage of commodity hardware and the ability to control the underlying infrastructure through policy. They want to take advantage of the economics and the fast pace of evolution of standard x86 servers and media types for their storage environments, similar to what they've been doing for compute and networking infrastructures. In addition, they want to build a programmable infrastructure to automate and simplify the operations. When scaling, the need to remove human error and to have a self-adaptive system is becoming ever more important in this modern day. And storage is probably one of those areas where there's a lot of human intervention required to scale and operate resources. So automation is ever more important in the storage infrastructure. As customers build modern infrastructure, the need to consolidate multiple types of workload on a common shared infrastructure or clouds is becoming critical. Shared infrastructure with a self-service portal is becoming a norm for modern cloud deployments. Many applications, many service levels, all on one shared infrastructure, driving a very high utilization. If you look at Datera, just to give you a quick overview of the product, Datera is a scale-out, software-defined iSCSI block storage, runs on standard x86 servers. And I'll talk about a number of the integration we have done with CLOUDPLATFORM on Cloud Stack environments. Our plugins are available on the GitHub repository publicly, so customers can go download it. The key tenets of the Datera storage environment is we have built an environment to support a wide range of applications at multiple service levels. We understand that a cloud is going to have different types of applications, and we have to offer unique service levels for each of these applications to perform at their best. The second part of a cloud infrastructure is this notion of self-adaptive to drive very efficient operations. And Datera is one of the systems which has a combination of edge computing and cloud-based computing to drive very high operations efficiencies. I'll talk about that a bit more in detail as well. Datera is a purpose-built environment for the cloud. Datera is a purpose-built environment for on-premise clouds. I've taken an example here where you have the Accelerite Cloud Platform hosting multiple types of applications. It could be MySQL, it could be MongoDB, it could be Cassandra, it could be Microsoft packaged applications, etc. Consuming storage resources on the Datera Elastic Data Fabric. So Datera Elastic Data Fabric itself is a software distributed system which runs on multiple types of media nodes and different types of hardware configurations. It could be hybrid flash nodes, all flash nodes. It could be Dell servers, Supermicro servers, all together under one cluster under the Datera system, managed holistically. What the system does is, as new nodes come online, they kind of self-describe and advertise their capabilities into the Elastic Data Fabric system, and the system kind of puts each of these nodes in the appropriate tiers of storage. The part on the right-hand side is what is on the cloud or off-premises from a customer environment. This is an environment which is continuously monitoring and building insights for each of these deployments. The key premise is that the system is built to be self-adaptive in nature. There's an on-premise component, which is the edge computing component, which is making more real-time decisions on how to place workload, way to place workloads, how to adapt and load balance the system, etc. And there is data gathered which is analyzed in the cloud to build long-term insights and enforce those insights back onto the system to improve the efficiency and orchestration of the system itself. So just to talk about, just going to touch upon a few of the key integrations that we have done with the cloud platform environment. It's very simple to consume the data storage for Accelerite cloud platform environment. We, as I pointed out earlier, have plugins to integrate with the cloud platform environment. So it's just drop the plugin and restart the cloud platform management service, and your system will get up and running. The Datera system can be provisioned as a primary storage either at a cluster or a zone level. You can define the various QoS parameters and login credentials at the time of configuration. Again, all of these aspects I'm going to talk about in this slide in terms of the initial setup as well as all the features. We have short videos explaining each of these steps just to help you kind of go through the process. And I will point to those resources towards the end. We also have a blog which captures most of the details as well. System is a very high efficient system, so you can do very fast volume provisioning and do all the CRUD steps for a volume in terms of addition, deletion, etc. You can also do online volume resizing, so you can increase the volume size. In addition to that, the system also allows the ability to reconfigure the number of replicas a volume has. For example, the Datera system itself allows you to configure a volume all the way from 1 replica to 5 replicas. And you can define the default number of replicas at the time of the storage, configuring the Datera system as a primary storage into the cloud platform environment. In addition to that, out of band, will allow the ability to reconfigure the volume replica count as appropriate as well. So very flexible from that perspective. One of the challenges in the cloud platform environment has been how storage systems handle snapshots. So Datera has a unique method where we can offload snapshot creation process from the cloud platform environment itself, and we're extremely performant. So we have zero overhead snapshots, instantaneous zero overhead snapshots. So the operation is fairly quick. In addition to that, we also allow for the ability to create volumes, templates, VM instances from snapshots. So makes it extremely flexible from a normal cloud platform operations process. You can attach and detach volumes to VMs. In fact, you can attach a volume to a VM in one cluster and move the same volume to VM in a different cluster. So we, again, seamlessly integrate with a lot of the cloud platform capabilities, make it very simple to consume for the various workloads in the cloud platform environment. Just to kind of double click on the Datera storage system itself, we have all the classic enterprise capabilities. The system itself is by default thin provisioned, so you don't have to do anything extra to have this feature turned on. We support the notion of snapshots and clones. We obviously support the notion of scheduled snapshots as well as instantaneous, as well as online instantaneous snapshots. We allow the ability for read and write snapshots and the ability to configure offline snapshots as well. The system itself does volume placement. As we talked about, one of the key attributes of the system is we can manage heterogeneous type of nodes. So when you create a volume, we'll automatically place it, whether it's an all-flash volume or a hybrid volume or a volume where the primary replica is in flash and subsequent volumes are in hybrid nodes. So again, based on what the requirements are, we can place the resources appropriately. As I talked about, you can do resizing of the volume online without any disruption to the application set itself. We support adaptive compression. The system will by default do compression as you write data into the system. The also does replication, like I pointed out. By default, in the plugin, we have configured three-way replica to be the default. But obviously, you can decide to choose a different parameter based on your requirement and based on the kind of the services you want to advertise for your service level. We also support QoS to avoid the noisy neighbor problem and the ability to give multiple service tiers. System itself is high performant system. We can deliver so we have defined configurations of a hybrid flash node and an all flash node in our HCL and the hardware compatibility list. And we can deliver, usually up to 70K IOPS on a node with a 70-30 read-write ratio, 4K random block IO at a sub-millisecond latency consistently. The current system scales up to 20 nodes, so roughly about 2 petabytes from a capacity perspective. We make it extremely seamless to integrate from an operations perspective. We have SNMP syslog integration for you to integrate the Datera system into your operations environment. We also have an API framework, REST API framework, which makes it easy to consume every aspect of the system. Like I said, in terms of in terms of software upgrade, in terms of addition of nodes, deletion of nodes, decommissioning of nodes, everything is non-disruptive from a data perspective. It's a distributed scale-out system, so node failure, the system software assumes nodes are going to fail and will automatically handle failure, whether it's disk failure or a SSD failure or a node failure. Automatically will do a mesh rebuild and recover to get its desired state of replicas. I also talked about some of the deep integration we've done from an orchestrator perspective to make it very easy to consume from a cloud platform portal, all the resources and the like. Obviously, if you want to have operations information on the storage system, you can access the Datera UI and kind of get all the benefits of operations portal. We have two aspects of the system. One is you can look at the online dashboard itself. And the second aspect is you can look at the cloud portal to get lot more deep insights on application behavior and node behavior, bandwidth on the system, a lot more insights on the system itself. So just to get to talking about some of the key differentiators that we have and also talking about how we can consume the product. Like I talked about the system, I'll just talk about the 5 key differentiators we have and talking about the system underneath. It's a scalable system. You can add nodes as you want capacity and performance. So it's a system which scales very linearly, nicely. One of the key aspects is it does policy-based placement. So not just the storage resources, but also how it's going to get accessed. So how a target port is going to get placed and where it's going to get placed, which nodes have capacity, what is the policy required for this particular application, and place it appropriately. The system is self-adaptive, so it's always constantly looking at the application behavior, which applications are demanding resources, etc. It's looking at the infrastructure, the number of nodes, looks at the network, and does constant rebalancing of the system itself. The system by default is built with multi-tenancy, and you have the ability to resource isolate as appropriate. We also give the ability to we give you deep API programmability for every aspect of the system. So the UI, the GUI you see is built on the API framework of the Datera system. So obviously API framework is extremely rich. You can do a lot more configuration and the control of the system. But the idea is, every aspect of the system is programmable through the API. The system is obviously consumable as a software, like I talked about earlier. It runs on a number of x86 servers. We have a hardware compatibility list uh, that you can look at and consume. We also have predefined configurations how you can consume the system. Either it's a hybrid flash node or all flash node, and various we have various capacity tiers. In the hybrid flash nodes, we have a 48 and a 96 terabyte configuration, and an all flash node we have a 10 and a 20 terabyte configuration. And the hardware compatibility list has obviously a lot wider spectrum of configurations that you can consume the product. So one of the key aspects is in a cloud there are different types of workloads. Historically, from a storage perspective, the two vectors we're looking at is performance and capacity. While they are important, another key aspect is this notion of working set. And working sets are important because different applications have different read-write patterns and different churn factor. The data working set to data set ratios differ from the application behavior, workload behavior, etc. It's always there'll be cases where you can have an all flash node across the data center and you might not go wrong. It's definitely going to be expensive to solve that problem. So we give you the ability to have a hybrid flash node for cases where the working set to data set ratio is small, but you still need high performance. So when the working set is, let's say, a very small fraction of the data set, let's say 5 to 10%, a hybrid flash node might be the appropriate product. You can get it at a very small fraction of an all flash node in terms of acquisition cost. It could be those cases where you need extremely high performance and the working set to data set ratio probably is high. Like, for example, databases or caching services like Redis and etc. And that's where probably you want to use an all flash node. And there are many cases where we have seen customers use the primary replica on all flash node to get the random read performance, but to have the secondary and tertiary copies of the replicas on hybrid node to get the reliability. So you're getting all flash like performance. You're getting all flash performance at a very, very low cost because you're amortizing the replica costs on hybrid nodes. So this is basically to give you a view of that a cloud build out is going to have various types of workloads, and Datera is giving you the ability to have multiple types of node configurations to address your diverse workload requirements. Another view of this is looking at the price performance aperture. So when you take a cluster could have all flash nodes and hybrid flash nodes. And what this allows you is to have a wide price performance aperture when you look at capacity and IOPS. So as you add nodes, your capacity and IOPS scales. When you have hybrid nodes, your capacity IOPS is scaling at a lower gradient, but your dollars per gig is probably in the sub-dollar range. When you're having all flash nodes, your capacity and IOPS is probably growing at a higher gradient, but your dollars per gig is probably going to be around $2-3. So the idea is that when you have a combination of all flash and hybrid nodes, you have a wide spectrum where you can have various types of applications sit within this particular aperture. Again, like I talked about, we have this notion of single-click upgrade. You can have volume expansion, replica reconfiguration, everything very, very flexible from a system perspective. So if you look at this as a service offering, the ability to have policy-based data placement, you can create multiple different tiers of service. In this particular example, I'm creating a gold service at $3 per gig, maybe is the acquisition price point, which I'm advertising as having very high IOPS, low latency, very high resiliency. It's 5-year replicated, so I'm giving very, very high resiliency. if I can handle up to 4 component failures, whether it's hard drive or node failures. Next, I'm offering a silver service, which is medium IOPS and low latency. I'm again fairly high resiliency, so it's 3-way replicated at around $1.6 a gig. And then I'm offering a bronze service, which is low IOPS, low latency. It's 2-way replicated. What I'm trying to point out here is that Datera system allows you the ability to configure multiple services. Not only allows you to configure multiple services, but also allows you to have different acquisition price points for each of these services, because we have the ability to have different types of nodes, all flash, hybrid flash nodes on this cluster, and the ability to place data on either all flash or primary replica in flash or hybrid volumes, right? So we give you extreme control, so you can tweak IOPS, latency, bandwidth, your durability, etc., and advertise different service levels to customers. The other thing, what we've noticed is that while IOPS is a very interesting and important metric, a lot of the modern applications are bandwidth bound. So we also give you the ability to control bandwidth to a volume. So you can not just control IOPS, but also what type of bandwidth you want to advertise to the volume. So you can say this particular volume is going to have 100 megabytes at the max, right? And you can advertise it appropriately. So for especially your Hadoop and some of your analytical workloads, bandwidth might be the right appropriate metric, because most of the I/O are large block reads and writes. So just to kind of wrap the product out is this cloud analytics part of it, which the 4 key pieces of it is we give you deep system telemetry information, which does continuous monitoring. It gives you multi-cluster view, and this is off premises. So this is a piece of software which is on the cloud, which is constantly getting data from the customer environment, metadata from the customer environment, analyzing and giving you deep insight into the environment itself. It gives you performance insights. What is the network behavior? What is the application behavior? What is the I/O profile? Again, a lot of information that will be useful for you to either use to optimize your environment. We use that internally from a data perspective, optimize the environment and build insights and force it back into the cluster, but also can be used for things like which app is using what kind of resources, can be used for capacity planning perspective. We have a capacity planning tool which is built on top of this, which gives you, again, information on how the usage trends are, and you can decide how you want to scale your resources. It also has an infrastructure inventory and failure analytical tool, so it constantly figures out how the component healths are, which components are going to fail. If it fails, what's the impact? Gives you alerting and failure handling, etc. So again, a tool which gives you a long-term insights into the product. You can see what was the behavior in the last 6 months, last 3 months, etc. So now to switch gears and talking about some of the customers. Here in this particular case, I'm talking about a Packet, which is a service provider here in New York on the East Coast. So Packet has been one of those customers who've been using the Datera product for a long time now. And Packet offered their block storage service with Datera. To wrap with this, kind of wrapping about the product itself and switching gears and talking about some of the market traction aspects. I'm taking one particular case here, which is a customer, Packet, Packet.net, which is a cloud service provider based in New York. Packet has been an innovative cloud provider trying to address some of the new emerging markets. One of the key aspects of the Packet environment they have been API centric. they provide a lot of programmability and control to customers. And Datera has been a very nice complement to our Packet environment, where not just we're providing very high performance at very attractive price points, but also the ability for Packet to integrate and take advantage of our API framework. Packet has been growing. I mean, we've been growing along with Packet as well. And some of the key metrics has been that Packet has been able to scale customers very nicely with the data backend storage system. Now they have multiple data centers, and the key metric has been that we want to make, as Packet scales, we still want to make sure it's very simple and seamless to deploy storage resources. And Packet has been one of those customers which has taken advantage of the Datera API and used the framework to automate and deploy and scale. So just to kind of wrap, talking about some of the key takeaways. We talked about some of the key aspects of the storage system itself. We are a software-based scale-out storage system. One of the key value props is this notion of economic elasticity. We can give you a wide price performance band, so you can have all flash nodes, hybrid nodes, and a combination of where you can have a volume on a primary replica on flash and subsequent replicas on hybrid. You have the ability to scale the cluster. You can start small. You can start with a 3 or 4 node cluster and keep adding resources as you want to scale, as you want to get capacity and performance. The system itself is built with this notion of decoupling application provisioning from physical infrastructure management. We make it very simple, where you define your application requirements and we do best fit placement of those resources onto the physical infrastructure itself. Again, a lot of focus on making it, giving the ability to automate the system. So the system itself is self-adaptive. It adapts based on application behavior changes, based on the resources, underlying infrastructure resources changes actively. And in addition, like I pointed out earlier, we have this active cloud-based analytics tool, which is supplementing the on-premise self-adaptive nature of the product itself. With the cloud consolidation, workload consolidation becomes imperative. The system itself is designed to address a wide range of applications, with multiple service levels. We also have the notion of multi-tenancy. If you want to take advantage of multi-tenancy, carving the system out to have either multiple cloud stack instances or have different types of workload instances, we can do that and give you unique resource isolation and tenant view for each of those tenants. As I talked about earlier, we have deep orchestration integration into cloud platforms, so we make it extremely easy for cloud platform users to consume the Datera storage device. There isn't any unique thing you have to do on the storage device itself. You can deploy the plugin and just go through the cloud platform portal to consume the storage resources. So in terms of call to action, we have a number of collateral and material available for the user, for the customers. You can go to Datera.io for white papers and reference guides. We have a deployment guide of the Datera Elastic Data Fabric on Accelerite Cloud Platform. We've captured a lot of the best practices and screenshots and giving you a step-by-step process to go about deploying this environment. We also have short videos which talk about each of the steps, like I mentioned above earlier, in terms of integration, whether it's a deployment step or initial configuration step, or creating disk and computer offerings in terms of taking snapshots, creating templates from snapshots, etc. So all the details in short videos. Again, All of this is covered in our blog, which has references to all the resources and all the videos. Again, we have a lot more material on our website in terms of white papers, detailed architecture views, a lot of blogs on various integration aspects, etc. I welcome you to request for a Datera ADF demo on our website, or reach out on info@datera.io, as well as request for a proof of concept for a Datera elastic data fabric system, and we'll be more than glad to kind of show a remote demo or a live demo. With that, thank you, and open up for questions.